guys, it's Sam, and this is my spoilery discussion for The Burning God by RF Kuang. As I said, this video will have spoilers, so if you haven't read this book, go and check out my spoiler-free review, which is linked on the screen. As I mentioned in my review, I just felt like I was gonna have a hard time talking about this book because, one, it feels like September has lasted forever, and it feels like I read this so long ago that things feel like fuzzy, even though this was like 10 days ago that I read this, so I don't know why my brain is like getting rid of it already. But there's also things where this felt very disjointed to me in a way that like I remember certain parts very vividly and certain parts not so much. This was also the ending that I think made sense for this series but wasn't necessarily satisfying, and I wish we would have had more time with the series overall. I mentioned in my review, I think this could have been a quartet. So first off, the first half of this book, loved it. The stuff with like the Southern armies and the stuff especially with the triumvirate, the three, Daji, Jiang, and I don't know what his other, that other, or something with an R. I loved that, and them as characters, I loved seeing Jiang back. I loved all of that. The fact that like, maybe he was her dad, because again, we found out like sort of who her mom is. There's some very like inconclusive things that I didn't necessarily need, but I was like, okay. So all of that, loved it. All that stuff. I will say it was slightly unsatisfying for them to get to the Dragon Emperor, and then like he immediately dies. And then, but there's also like this little hint of like someone was in the doorway. Was it Jiang this whole time? I don't know. You know, like that's a whole thing. But I felt like that's the point where I would have liked there to be a cut off and there'd be a second book, right? So like that stuff could have been more fleshed out. He comes back and he like does more because you have all this build up to like, oh, he's so scary, whoa. And then like we get to him and like he's destroyed by, you know, the blimps essentially, like right after. And it's like, okay, there was no consequences for any of that. There's a lot of build up for nothing. Okay, but I do love those three. If we get a prequel, cool, love it. But that theme of things sort of being a letdown is a thing throughout the whole series because there is this like, okay, war happens and things don't work out, and like for Rin, her plans rarely work out well, right? But even like the kid shamans that she creates, right? One dies like immediately, and then when they go and try to kill the dragon, like both of them, well, at least one of them dies, if not both. Like they just get taken out so easily in a way that like I can't connect to them. So again, just like throughout the series, besides Rin and like a little bit of Kate, and I guess like Najat a little bit, like I don't connect to anybody else because I just don't feel like we have the chance to get super invested in them. And again, I feel like if we would have had 2 books, we would have had like maybe some more time with them. Although with the like Seek, like I don't feel like I was necessarily connected to them either, and they were around a little bit longer. But yeah, it just felt like we have this character who can like poison everything, poison the earth, poison water, and we don't use her to like poison from a distance almost, or like we had this whole idea to like shut down Najat's like city with like poisoning the water, and like we don't do any of that. Like there's just a lot of sort of let down of expectations, which again makes sense, happens for war, but I just feel like we could use some more time for exploring a lot of this stuff. I continually find this funny that in certain parts of the internet, people have really made this series out to be like having a larger thread of an enemies to lovers plotline between her and Najat, and it's like, absolutely not. No, it is so minor, if anything. If people read this for that, they're gonna be so disappointed. But anyway, as far as the end, I kind of figured like she was gonna have to die, right? And like this made sense for the ending. And I loved that like her and Kate went out together. They're basically like soulmates, not romantically, but like so soul bonded. And like by the end, I was like, yes, this all makes sense. However, leaving Najat as like the one in charge after all of this, I was like, is this really smart? I know that she couldn't quite be in charge. Like she was a creature for war, which is kind of like how she thinks of herself. Like the Phoenix is supposed to burn and we need to rebuild now and whatever. But I don't necessarily think like handing things over to him was exactly a smart move. And yeah, I'm just like, I don't know, it just felt very like inconclusive. And like the things about her at the very end too, like when she was starting to kind of question everyone. She questions Venka, she questions Kate, like she questions everybody. That slow descent into sort of like madness could have also been slower if we had another book where that was happening slowly, because it all of a sudden happens out of nowhere. Like at the very end, she's like, I don't trust you, I don't trust you, I should die. And like, that's it. And it's like, okay. So that just, again, the pacing of this, with the first half being so good for me and then the second half like not quite being as strong, was what made it a little bit rough. Still a really good finale. Again, I gave this 4.5 stars. It's still very solid, but I just wanted like slightly more. But what this just showed me was that, again, she's an amazing author. The themes of war, she does beautifully. And I can't wait to see what she puts out in the future, because this was her first series and like she's just gonna continue to go up from here, in my opinion. So yeah, still really liked this. Things I loved, things I didn't. And yeah, I'm excited to have this series now finished under my belt. I probably forgot some things, because again, I feel like my thinking about all this is very all over the place. But yeah, comment down below, let me know your thoughts about this. The fact that like, it feels not solid in my head. So yeah, I probably forgot things. Talk to me about those. So thank you all for watching, and I'll see all of you guys soon.